the first person to mention in the chat what they wanted to do. So it was Sai. So Sai is going to kick us off. I would like everyone else to mute themselves so that we can give that undivided attention to Sai, okay?
I don't know how to do that.
Over in the right-hand corner of your screen, there should be a button that says mute. Like if you hover over it.
If you have trouble figuring that out, I can mute you too.
Or if you have a microphone symbol, you can touch that.
I'm seeing, I think everybody's, I'm just going to start because I think everybody seems to be muted. So, I'm going to be reading off my screen, which I don't usually do, because these are poems that I wrote recently and haven't been able to print out because I don't have access to a printer. Guess why? This is my most recent, and it's the only one I've been able to write since the pandemic began. I'm about to bust out of this mess, all sparks and lightning, and carry you all out of this on this back of mine. Yes, even that knot under my shoulder blade that keeps me up half the night. It's not much more than that, just to siphon off my strength into you, all of you. The ones I love so debilitatingly, I'm about to burst from it. And I'll turn my brain inside out. Let all these mad ideas of love pour out and spill across the floor. I'll dip my cookies in it so they melt into rivulets of silver in my mouth. I'm about to kiss you, open-mouthed, without any fear of what it means or who will die because of it. That's a big one. And this one is from last fall. It's about a breakup. I could not hold the weight of all your disappointment and still smile the one time you said thanks for a thing I did mostly for myself. Make no mistake, I have failed you in every way a person ever could. And I'm not even sorry. Being sorry is just another thing I failed to do. And if I didn't happen to know that I'm not a complete and miserable failure on my own, if I didn't have proof that I could make it on my own, then I would believe that I deserve to be a failure in your eyes, because the best that I could be is simply somehow in your eyes. And one more for now. And I'm afraid it's another downer. I'm not going to bring you any happy poems this time, sorry. This one's called Death in a Box. She carried her death in a box. It was locked with a key that she kept in her pocket, or at her bedside, or on a chain around her neck, or buried, or hung on a wall, or hung on the wall in her closet. It would be hidden, or displayed, or moved, or even treated casually, depending on her anxiety. During hard times, she would clutch it like a treasure, or perhaps do her best to avoid even seeing it, and would sometimes switch back and forth without warning. She was always, on some level, obsessed with the box she kept her death in. How did she come to have her death in a box? It's rumored that she met a demon once, and demons give out curses like panicked dogs give out scars, and this was hers. She was given her death in a box. She had to keep it locked, or it would take her. But she couldn't lose it or the key lest someone else happened to open it for her. So she would keep the box and the key, and fretted over it, and worried about it, and never trusted anyone who might have an opportunity to steal it from her. One day, if you meet the one who carries her death in a box, I hope you find her feeling more relaxed than when I knew her. Because when I knew her, I had the misfortune of seeing her open the box. I don't think it was the first time she did. It might not be the last, but it was terrifying just to see it. I saw her open the box, and I saw her look at her death inside, and I almost thought she was going to take her death right then. But thankfully, I was able to see that she closed the box and locked it, and hid away the key and box in separate rooms. And then she turned around and smiled at me, although I could not trust her smile. But still, better an untrustworthy smile than what I saw in the box.
Awesome.
Beautiful, beautiful.
All right. So just in case anyone didn't see it, I posted in the chat the lineup. It is Cy just went, Kat, Ryan, Barbara, Thasia, Doc, and then Sean. Is everybody okay with that lineup?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, fine.
Cool. Next up is Kat.
Okay, I'm just going to read two from my blog. So they're relevant to the current circumstances. This first one's called Social Distancing. Social distancing. Socially distant, virtually inseparable, the links between us. The way we touch others, not warm fingers interlaced but swept across cool keyboards. Music shared across balconies, tasting notes like a crisp wind, crossing borders and boundaries. Not the comforting embrace, but the smiling face miles away, countries or continents or 6 full feet apart. So long as we're not 6 feet under, we can bridge any distance. Smoothly typed texts, raised voices spanning gaps, our words heard by ears, read by wide eyes, felt by drumming heartbeats, emotions rising tide. In this new world of isolation, we all pull together. And then the next one is a little older. It's called Living in Limbo. Life is lived in the spaces between. The crook of the elbow bent to bring the cup to our lips. The devil's dimple smiling just before that first warm sip. Eternity peeks from behind the crook of each bony finger. Pinky extended toward the taste not yet reached. That's it. Thank you.
I didn't realize I never muted myself. Whoops. You got my snaps in your recording.
Thank you.
Hey, I guess I'm up next.
Yep, you are up next, Ryan.
Well-
Also, I wanted to add that I'm going to go after Sean unless more people come in, and then those people can go before me. But I just wanted to let everyone know I was going to go last.
I need to switch myself to my real camera. Unfortunately, you guys are going to get the real me this time. I'm going to do this next piece. I actually have to go on my knees, apparently. It works better with a little bit of performance to it. This is one I've done a bunch of times, but it's the only lyrical thing I have. It's called Save Us from Ourselves. God save the Queen, long live the King. Hail to the Chief, the Lord of all lies. I dredged the swamp for the bombs bursting in air. Oh, say can you see that justice is blind, that we are all colorblind, when all you can see is the white-hot dawn's early light that might means right. Always fight with the sun at your back and the darkness in your soul, but don't be black. That's worth the bullets whizzing past. A soldier's job is never done, never won. A draft dodger's never run, never won. With the multiplicity of our multi-ethnicity, of a nation of fools that elects a derelict jester who taunts our puppet strings, strikes the chords of the lamentations of our hearts, heartless bastards. We are no longer whole, just a sinking hole, a pit of despair that stares back at us. Look up, look down, stay down, lock down, look out. Here it comes, as above, so below. The devil's in the details that are reduced to black and white. We are weapons of mass confusion, taking aim, hiding behind his wall to build a nation of prisoners, too afraid to yell out our battle calls, to seek retribution for our disillusion, to clear up the noise pollution and fall on our knees, to take a knee because we need. We are a world of truth benders, rule breakers, criminal instigators, unforeseen fornicators, ego masturbators, serial verbal defecators. We are nothing, no one, nowhere, just present at this moment in history when we realized we fucked up. Hindsight was blindsided, blinded by the light, speckled with red, white, and bruises, masks of shame, that we were complicit in our downfall. The fall of man, the blood is on our hands, because we knew we could, because we thought no meant yes, and that she didn't really mean it, and boys will be boys with their unruly lethal toys that cuts through what was right and left us divided. All right, I got one more. I'm gonna sit down. This one's a little more gentle and old. Let's see if he's still there. All right, cool. This one I wrote a number of years ago for Dante's birthday. It's called The Anti-Child. Happy birthday, my anti-child. What will be my gift to you? Life. A random slice that all that came before you. With the wisdom of a madman. I will twist and shape and encourage. Oh yes, you will be corrupted. I will teach you that the world is not as you've been told. I will tell you what it means to be a man and a woman. And the difference is all in your head. No one is right or wrong, only what's right for you. Adults lie. Juvenile records are not permanent. Kids were made for fun. While we're at it, Santa Claus is a zombie. The Easter Bunny is a mutant. Unicorns are a government conspiracy. Then I will tell you, I could be lying, but think for yourself. I bet you can come up with an even better story. And know that the sanest man in the room is probably the most insane. Life will hurt and often suck, but don't give up. Women will break your heart. Growing up is a sin, but be responsible for yourself. Never take anything too seriously and do everything with absolute sincerity. Question everything, take nothing for granted, seek the answers yourself. Answer who am I, then go out with Nerf guns blazing. I will teach you to create, to turn garbage into gold, to give your thoughts form and your hands their due. I see potential and possibility where others only see trash and hopelessness. Everything is art. You will write on paper bags and doodle on receipts, grab the nearest object and give way to your soul. My little taint will ensure that your thoughts must bolt with the spasmodic urgency of adolescence, or you will combust. And sometimes I will tell you to do just that. Life will be your creation. Therein lies your truest art. The finest work of man is to make something out of themselves. Why the anti-child? Because you will be the antithesis of every other kid. You will be better. You will be our legacy. A universe of your own making awaits you, built on a family of love, life, experience, and more than a few comic books. That's all I got for you guys.
All righty. So before I switch over to Barbara, I just wanted to say that if we do end up just burning through everybody's stuff, we can start back at the top and just everyone can do more stuff if they want, or yeah, we'll just figure it out from there. So next up, Barbara.
Okay. I'm going to read 3 poems. I'm going to start with 2 from my book and then 1 that I just wrote last week. The first poem in my book is a poem called Trans Privilege. And in addition to my book, this poem has been published in 2 different anthologies. And I wrote it after a conversation I had with a person who at the time was my best friend. And I told her that I was not getting the support from my relationship that I needed. And she said, well, you live a cookie cutter life. Your problems are not important. You don't need support. And that was the last time that I saw the person that I thought was my best friend. Called trans privilege. I'm not sure that there is such a thing as transgender privilege. You rarely see those two words used together. I live what some might call a privileged life. I'm not a person of color. I have a wife and some friends that stayed, a nice home, car, and resources. And I like shopping for designer purses at outlet stores and on eBay. Privilege does come at a price. A lot of years struggling within myself, consumed by work and commitments, not always of my own making, never really living or taking time to be in the moment, always outside of myself, looking in at what I didn't really know, nor did I really care. I've not faced the inequities or the brutality of my sisters and brothers, their bruised and battered bodies, beaten, shot, and stabbed, lying unclaimed in morgues across the world. All they wanted was to live their truth. That is all I want too. Yes, I might live a privileged life, but my problems are as real as the next person's, at least to me. My pain is as real as anyone else's, at least to me. I still hurt from the sting of depression, sadness, disappointment, and betrayal. I still cry myself to sleep at night. The second poem is the poem that provides the title to my book, If There's No Heaven. And it is called Bubble Wrap. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, raw and exposed, arms wrapped tightly around my body, giving myself a hug, there's no one else around to do it, searching for words of comfort that will clothe my naked emotions, lost somewhere in the fogginess of my brain. All I hear is, it is never enough. I am never enough. The past is never really past, especially the mistakes haunting the halls of my mind long after they were made, or used like a war club, beating myself to a bloody pulp. Being hard on myself does not make me a better person, only defeated more. All I hear is, it is never enough. I am never enough. I have gone far beyond what my father thought I could. Doing my best was never good enough. Sometimes I dreamed of being perfect, but even that is not enough. Lying in bed in the dark, trying to go to sleep, mind racing like a hamster on a running wheel. When she reaches for my hand and tells me she loves me, my first thought is, why? How could anyone love me? All I hear is, it is never enough. I am never enough. I should swaddle myself in bubble wrap as protection against the world, but that would do no good. I would still be trapped with my own worst enemy in a cocoon of my own making, telling me it is never enough. I am never enough. I'm not even good enough to be trans with what I still have dangling between my legs. It is better to keep hidden so that I can live my life. If there's no heaven, it's all a waste of time anyway. I have found not caring anymore to sometimes be liberating. The poem is one that I wrote last week. I participated in a stay-at-home poetry workshop, and this poem came out of that workshop. It's a little lighter than the first two. It's called The Bandit of the Night. The taste of summer in our mouths, sweet and pungent, like peat moss after a delicate rain. Closeness permeating the space between us. Sitting in white wicker chairs, the hardness tempered by fading cushions, well worn by use. Sunshine from the street lamp creating shadows dancing across our faces. Cool drinks on the glass table between us. The peppery smell of cigar smoke wafting off into the air. Feeling as though we are the only two left in the world. Imagining the bucolic scene beyond the darkness. Birds rustling in their nests in the crabapple tree. An owl screeching in the distance. The spirit animal of our relationship, at least according to that psychic in Burton. An ancient and cracked one taken from my parents' house, keeps a silent vigil over my bed. Maybe I should sleep with an owl, but it would probably keep me awake, being the nocturnal animal I am not. Your presence in the darkness infused me with courage to talk about things that remain unsaid inside. Reaching across the darkness, I take your hand warm and soft in mine, like a fluffy yellow chick. Your energy merging with mine, creating an exclusive bond. Yes, we are growing older, and it is scary sometimes. There are many regrets, but knowing that you and I are in this together is enough and will be for. Thank you.
Alrighty. Next up is Thasia.
So I have never done a reading online before, and I never read off my phone. I always read off a typed paper, but this poem's so new, it is not printed out yet. So this poem came because yesterday a friend of mine online, Brian Rillman, was talking about his poem of Sparrows and Human Beings was accepted into the Spring 2020 Peach Velvet. And when I read that poem, as soon as I started reading it and he talked about sparrows, it just immediately took me back to my childhood. So I wrote this yesterday. The Sputsy Man. I knew him as Pup-Up, the name my brother gave him before it developed a language. A smallish man with a sparkling spirit. He never wasted anything. If he was coming for a visit, my mother always made sure that there were no expired leftovers in our fridge, as Pup-Up would eat them even if penicillin had sprouted. One of my major memories was of Sputsies, Pup-Up's word for sparrow birds. He had infinity for them, maybe due to his survival of the Depression or World War II. After my grandmother died, he moved to an apartment in an old part of Pittsburgh close to his brother's family. Out his kitchen window was the roof of his neighbor's home. Each morning he'd open that window by his kitchen table and shake out the breadcrumbs from his toast breakfast or crumble up a piece of stale bread. The Sputsies would dance and flutter, pecking up the gift, and Pup-Up would chatter at them, "Oh, the good little birdies." Today, I will gather some stale bread and treat some good little birdies. Thank you. And that's all I had for tonight.
All right, all right. Doc, you're up next.
Sorry. I have, oh, cripe. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. All right, I'll begin with something I wrote for one of my daily postings. Today, every once in a while I miss one, but this is called Possibilities of Unremembered Futures. Sun rises from the dawn of forever across the sharp horizon of viridian seas, in Arios pans of belling golden glory, into azure baldaquin sky, rousing pristine day, ushering possibilities of unremembered futures into the Eden of perhaps and rich fragrance of fulfillment. Thank you. This one I wrote a while back. Love's perfume. Someday, in a garden, somewhere, somewhen, 'neath a full moon, a supermoon, a moon of reddened gold, we'll kiss, a soul kiss, a lover's kiss, a kiss of endless longing. The garden's flowers will burst in bloom, perfuming the night with love. Thank you. And I don't know how many of you have looked up into the night sky recently, but there is a conjunction of Venus and the Pleiades occurring. If you look to the west about 45 degrees high, you'll see it on a clear night. The Pleiades are in a way magnified by the atmosphere of Venus, and it almost looks like a nova in the sky. So I wrote this. It's called conjunction. Venus and the sisters in velvet cavern of night, merged brilliance, shouting love, in explosion of sensuous light song, dancing on Gaia's skin, infusing passion with radiant kisses, inscribing ecstatic joy. Thank you. But that's all for now. I've got many others I could read, but let's go on to the next person.
All righty. Thank you, Doc. Next up is Sean.
Okay. The first poem I'm going to read, I'll give a tiny bit of background to it because it makes more sense that way, I guess. But I'd worked a double shift being a 411 operator. So I'd actually slept like 2 hours in the prior 45 hours. And then me and my friend got breakfast. And then he's like, I have to stop by my job for a second. And what meant a second was his boss was in there and kept him in there for 2 hours while I sat in his car. So that's what this song is called, Sing to Me, Leonard, or this poem, I mean. Sing to Me, Leonard. Being ridiculously tired is its own special kind of high. Chained to a sugar-free energy drink that will keep me awake, surely. But at what cost, my kidneys scream. Fuck off, I tell them. We treat symptoms in this country. Where have you been? Do your job and get back to filtering the toxic gabapentin out of my blood. This Leonard Cohen disc is altering my altered state. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Makes a lot of sense I can't smoke pot to fix the pain in my foot safely. Maybe if I'm lucky, I can get addicted to opiates. Pretty obvious I need more problems. Well, I'm out for now. Besides, I have to finish this can of chemicals that is keeping me awake. 1 second here. This poem is still untitled after 5 years. So I still haven't come up with a title yet, but this was another one where I was stuck in my same friend's car because we saw a semi hit a bus. And we could actually see we were stuck on the highway for like 2 hours while dead people, the paramedics were pulling people out of this bus. So if you want to find hell with me, Sitting in my isolated world, encased in glass and metal, Glenn Danzig belts out one of my favorite tunes. Our death box is a balmy 72 degrees, while the outside world, a mere 6 feet to the west, is hell. We complain about how hungry we are. After all, there's a Hardee's 7 miles down the road. As long as my basic needs are met, I don't have to think about the 13 vehicles full of wounded and dead who made me late for lunch. It's good to be American. And then one more here. 1 second. My WordPress. Okay. This is the first poem that I ever wrote. This was in like 2013. Like I was still high on marijuana edibles when I wrote this, so there we go. It's called Transgression. The deepest wounds one can take are from ambling, stumbling headlong through the darkness. Your feet find their own way, trusted footfalls making your journey seem safe, known even. Alone in the dark, your open wounds, whether manifested internally, externally, emotionally, or physically, are from not seeing which side of the razor's edge you walk. For a decade, my armor, impenetrable, seemingly Herculean in scope, came erupting forth and tore me asunder. Left with no means of motivation in every sense of the word, you can fake being strong for a very long time. Sometimes you even convince yourself. For the first time in my life, I set myself up to fall. Shrouded in a chaotic, fumarolic cloud of apathy, I knowingly stepped over the edge. The rapid acceleration made me seem weightless. I felt wonderful, I thought, because I let everything go and was finally done. When you are plummeting through an abyss, listless and apathetic, is the last place you expect to be caught by an angel. A dark angel filled with light caught me and carried my immense burden from me. Never let anybody tell you angels do not have a soul. I stared directly into the soul of my protector, and piece by piece was given back my burden, but with the strength to carry it, everything rearranged and enlightened. That's it.
Man, I haven't heard that piece in years, and I still love it.
Yeah, it's my first poem, and it's like my favorite one I wrote, I think. It's like
Yeah. All right, I got a couple. I'm actually, I could read one of my newer ones, but I was looking over it just now and realized that given what's happened today, I had to put my dog down this morning. I don't want to read it because it features her and I don't want to cry. So instead, I'm going to do some oldies. This one's called Thoughts Like Fireflies in the Night Sky. The thing I like about nights like this is that it gets so dark and the skies are so clear that it looks like the little boy who trapped us all here decided to have mercy and pinprick tiny little air holes in the lid of our mason jar, but they aren't quite enough to make a difference. Her lit cigarette burns so brightly from the porch against the darkness it reminds me of a lighthouse or a bug zapper. I don't see how anyone can smoke at a time like this, when the air is so heavy, it's like breathing cement. The campfire whispers something about memories? I can't hear it very well, and I don't speak its language. The fireflies are out tonight. I watch the children chasing them as they blink in and out of existence like little teleporting fairies, proof that the little boy who trapped us all here decided it has not succeeded in snuffing out all the magic. One child is sitting away from the group, swinging alone, carving imperfect circles with her toes into the dirt. She's staring up at the stars. She looks concerned. I cannot help but wonder what she is thinking. The campfire is dying. I watch it gasp for air a few last times before I put it out of its misery. And this poem's political. Woo! It's called All American. I am all American. As American as apple pie flavored hookah smoke, candy coated cancer sticks, double cheeseburgers, bacon vodka, and quick fix diets. I am all American. As American as county fairs, elephant ears, cotton candy, tractor poles, and country music. As American as block parties, ice cream trucks, backyard barbecues, sidewalk chalk, hip hop, and hopscotch. I am all American. As American as success stories, as montages set to classic rock as triumphant underdogs. I am as American as ramen noodles for a month straight, as late rent, as eviction notices, locked doors, and keys that will never open them, as stray dogs begging for their lives as the city puts them down. I am all American as Saturday morning cartoons, as Sunday Mass, as American as mass murder in Sunday schools, as Monday morning announcements and moments of static silence. I am all American as booming Silicon Valley and crumbling Detroit, as American as the moon landing and the Trail of Tears, as slave-owning freedom fighters fathering our nation. I am all American as hunger strikes and hunger pangs, as American as hope that persists against all odds and escape at all costs. I am all American as Southern hospitality, police brutality, color blindness, blind spots, and political incorrectness, as American as trigger warnings and trigger fingers. I am all American as stop and frisk policies, as dead children, as grieving mothers, as white-hot guilt sitting corrosive inside an officer's gut, as American as I swear to God I thought he had a gun. I am all American as dreadlocks and mullets, as deadbolts and bullets, as fireworks and drone strikes. I am free and in debt. I am privileged and yet left wanting. I am a patchwork quilt made of the world's scraps, a union divided in more ways than there are breaths in a lifetime. And parts of me are ugly. And you will want to look away, but you should not. Because isn't it beautiful how we constantly seem to be on the verge of falling apart, but somehow manage to hold ourselves together. I am all American.
Woo!
One of my favorite works by you, Josh. I even stole one of your lines for that last thing I read. Or Save Us, that white hot guilt.
Yeah.
I use the white hot dawn's early light in my other work.
That was really good. I liked it.
Thank you.
That's interesting because back in the 90s, I entered a poetry contest with a poem. It was about love breakup. And in it, I said something about the white hot heat of my tears hitting the cold of my wrist and the cold of my fears. And the poetry judge wrote back to me, there was no such thing as white hot heat. Which I went and looked it up. There is.
Yes, there is.
But even if there wasn't, isn't that poetry? You get to make it up.
Like, yeah, there's no such thing as like.
Oh my God.
With diamonds either, but
Poetic license.
Yes, exactly.
Oh God.
So it looks like we're technically in the middle of this. I got a tagline that I like to use in these for this event. And it's just because we can't be with each other doesn't mean we cannot still connect with each other.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
I love.
I'm sorry.
I just said I love that tagline.
Yes, yes. I just need to excuse myself because I have something else I have to get going and do, but I want to thank everybody for including me tonight. And this was really interesting and fun and got me out of the house, so to speak, even though I never left my desk.
Yeah,
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you all, and thank you very much. And as soon as I can figure out how to leave here, I will leave here.
Yeah, so we're looking to do this every other week. So if you're available in 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay, just throw that out on Facebook as a reminder, and if I can, I'll be back.
If you have not yet, like the page so you can follow the event.
Oh, okay, I will. Thank you. All right, see you later, guys.
all right.
Later.
See you later, alligator.
Alrighty.
That last
So
thing
do
was
you guys, we can just chill for a second and BS, or we can just start back at the top of the list with Sai.
I will be back in a minute.
All right.
hey Josh.
I actually have to go, but
All right.
I will.
Later.
Yeah, I have a
It
bunch
was
of
nice.
stuff going on. I'm glad I came though.
Yeah.
What?
I think that was
I've actually got to
Dante.
get him to bed, so I'm gonna get going too.
right.
Josh. Bye,
Bye.
For those of you leaving, don't forget our Patreon and YouTube and all that good stuff.
Yep. All that good stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to use the middle for Josh to throw out the couple of quick ads we have.
Oh yeah. We got ads and stuff. Patreon, YouTube, yada yada.
So we can afford to keep doing this. And YouTube is just so that you can see your video later.
Yeah, the Patreon's mostly so that I can kind of recoup the cost of purchasing the monthly subscription of Zoom Pro. But if nobody, I mean, we haven't even really had enough people. It's like, oh, if it's over 6, they limit it to 40 minutes. So I'm kind of glad we've bought Pro because we've had more than 6 full times. So
Patreon's Beautiful Blasphemy Poetry. YouTube, you'll have to ask me for a link because it's tricky. And Facebook, look up Beautiful Blasphemy for the events and all the information. I think that's all the ads.
Cool. Sai, do you have more to read?
Yeah, sure, if you want.
Yeah, I was just gonna figure we'll just start it off from the top again, and we'll just cross off the people who left. And yeah.
I'll keep working from my online folder because it is remarkably much better organized than my physical printed out folder.
I will be right back. You keep on going without me, but I'm gonna take a break for a second. Gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay, here's a crowd pleaser. This is a poem about my favorite superhero. What isn't obvious is that Captain Obvious really is a great superhero. His real origin story: he was that little kid who told everyone that the Emperor has no clothes on, when nobody else wanted to be the one to say it. He's older now, and so is the world. He points out that global warming is real, that our world is brutally and unjustly unjust, that people everywhere are suffering, while the richest few contemplate whether saving them would cut into their military budgets. That science does not say what the news feeds think it says, that the folks in charge aren't the only people in the world who deserve sympathy and respect, and that the president has no clue. Captain Obvious steps into conversations in the bar with your friends and points out that your partner is treating you like shit, where your boss can't legally ask you to do that, where you really should consider moving out of that apartment with all the lead and cockroaches. He urges you to get that lump checked out, to tell that girl you like her for Pete's sake, and reminds you that there isn't only 2 options to every dilemma you face. And sometimes he just listens to you gripe about your woes and your struggles and your loneliness and your exhaustion, and he nods and says, "That sounds tough, and you must be tough because you're going through it." Because oftentimes when we're afraid or stressed or depressed or just a little unsure of ourselves, we can't be sure that the obvious is true until it's said out loud. That's where the captain saves the day. He states the obvious because speech is about more than just telling people what they don't already know. It's about confirming what they do know, but we're afraid to say for fear of being wrong. It's about letting the truth shine brighter in dark times. It's about being the voice of us all, as foolish as it might be, as foolish as it might make him look, because by his foolishness, we are all made wise.
Alrighty. Let's see. Did Kat leave?
Appears so.
Alrighty. Looks like Ryan's up next again.
Oh, crap. That guy.
Yeah, who wants to hear him? Ugh.
All right. Hang on. I was writing something down. In case you guys don't know this, I take quotes from these poetry readings, and I mentioned earlier I steal them for jigsaw poems. I properly sort too. But also, I post these quotes on our Facebook page. And if I can find a link to you, I link you in it too. What the hell is it? All right. So, I'm going to read some bits and pieces of something, but I'm going to do a blatant, shameless self-promotion first. So I'm working on assembling a collaborative book called The Analog Renaissance. It's part 2 of the Analog Kingdom series, which was created as kind of a guidebook to a sculpture I built at Ingenuity. The first book was kind of based on a lot of the visuals and poetry to accompany it from our Destructicon events. If you want to know what any of it is, hit me up later and I'll send you information. The unique part about this is I'm going to crowdfund it. And on the crowdfunding site, I'm going to leave a list with a tagline description of all the different pieces of art and story that's in there. And people donate directly to the story they want. So you could get paid for your work that you put in it, even if it's something you already have. And then what gets in the book is what people have paid for. I want to give a really quick explanation of the universe. And your story does not necessarily have to fit into this. The Analog Kingdom is a universe between all other universes, where discarded imagination goes to be reused. The universe is constantly shifting and changing, is nonlinear, and can include characters that exist in other universes. It is something like a junkyard anarchy monarchy with a lot of the visuals based off of our Destructicon events. None of your story submissions have to fit into this. All right, that's the end of my advertisement. One of the stories I'm going to include in it, in bits and pieces of it, it's called The Blue Collar Lament, The Weary Road to Nowhere. It's kind of a character-driven version of my first work about this bar that everyone kind of assembles at the end of the working week. And it's full of working class people of all sorts. Some know each other, most don't. Each character in this bar has their own little monologue. So I'm going to read just the bits and pieces. I've assembled them from multiple writers. This first one is mine. Shit, my life. It all distills into a bottle. Cold, filtered, and served up to me in the seedy bar I frequent every Friday. Here, I taste of wasted youth and potential after another soul-crushing week of capitalism worship at the plant. It smells like dirt and broken dreams as I take my usual spot at the bar. But at least they know me here. All of us toasting the abuse of our bodies for the privilege to drink like a man, like we actually earned that cheap, foul intoxicant. Here, we all drink of the same desperation. This next one is by Neil Brooks, one of our friends, and a former Angronaut from Destructicon. Work, drink, sleep, repeat. The brew never tastes better than the first sip of the day, but at least it gives me that. Life itself expired its offer on new days and first sips, switching it for a steady drip of stale and tasteless swill, which gives us all the depression and desperation of a good drunk, but without the ecstasy of or glamored eyes. There I sit through my respites from work or the TV of dreams, waiting for nothing to improve my finite number days, waiting to meet no one new save my maker, following my final useless and unaccounted breath. I stare into the chasm formed between the breasts and below the neckline of the bar girl, who is more woman than girl and who beneath her two-dimensional expression is far more broken than I. I stare into that abyss until it stares back. Woe for man's lost purpose and lost virility in these mines and fines and this sweat and sewage brill. The door opens unimpressed with a sigh, stink air of sulfur, and traffic flows in around the silhouette of what looks like a man in a long coat, carved out of stone or fashioned from clay to stand guard over some forgotten tomb like bar. That's all there is of that. I'm just kind of randomly picking. Here we go. I have a Josh Romig from this. Now this is actually a separate poem of his, and I just added it to this because I think one day it may fit. He calls it 5S, I believe. Sort through the parts. A bin for the bad, a box for the good. Sort through your thoughts. A bin for the bad, a box for the good. Set the box in order in a safe place, on a high shelf, in the back room, in a spot you will remember to look when you need them. You will need them soon. Make your workspace shine, sweep the dirt away, replace what is broken, scrub the years off of what isn't. Make your headspace shine, sweep the dirt away, replace what is broken, scrub the years off of what isn't. Standardize this practice. Every day, find a way to sort, set, shine, sustain.
So So, like, can I be a little editorial there for a second?
Absolutely.
So if any of you have worked in factories before, you know that that's like 5S is a cleaning practice in a lot of factories. It's based on some Japanese crap. But it basically boils down to sort, set, shine, and those are all the things. And I always thought it sounded like a Zen koan kind of like thing. Like every time I read it, I was like, that sounds like a meditation mantra. And so I was thinking about that, meditating on it one day when I was doing factory work. So I wrote that little piece, like restructuring it to be like to be a meditation mantra instead of just like some cleaning. It's basically cleaning, like keep your workplace clean. That's what it boils down to. But I thought that sounded really, it's cooler if it applies to your soul.
What is it about Americans that makes us want to get our cleaning advice from Japanese people?
It's corporate, it's factory based. They are better at it than us. They
Well, it's not just workplace cleaning, it's also now home cleaning.
it's the philosophy of Zen. It's that everything has a purpose and a practice, and if you repeat doing the same thing a million times, you perfect the simple practice. It goes back to philosophy and martial arts.
Mhm.
And Ryan, if I may, please, when you're reading something, speak to the mic. When you turn away, your voice gets soft.
Oh, I'm not sure where the mic is on this thing. I'm looking down while I'm reading, so that's probably why. So I'm just going to read the last little tagline of this. But this piece is something where I just keep collecting. So if anybody's got one of those working stories they want to add to it, I'm just going to keep collecting until this becomes a full thing. So the last little tagline is this. I'll try to read closer. Everyone's dreaming of getting out of here, and no one has an escape plan. That's it for me.
All righty. Next up is Barbara.
Okay, I'm going to read another poem from my upcoming book. This poem was based on a comment that a friend made to me, and it's actually dedicated to her. It's called Ripples. Dawn is always the loneliest hour of the day. Disappointments of yesterday clashing with promises of today, like armies colliding on a battlefield. The sun beginning to peek through the curtains as if it's a curious child. The pathway behind is part of my life now. Canyons and peaks leading to the pinnacle, chasing the wind through the cascade of light toward the obscurity of death. I lie on my deathbed 1,000 times, being reawakened each day with the freedom of knowing it is never too late to start over, to matter enough to make a difference, riding the harsh waves of life, leaving a legacy in my wake. Risk brought me to this moment, constantly boxing my shadow until we both are drained. Crossing piranha-infested waters in a leaky lifeboat with no life preserver, ready to die daily, only to be reborn. A poet always sees ghosts and drinks champagne when she's sad, dealing with the hard things in life that need talking about. If only there was someone to talk to. How many times can God save me? Being brave is not enough. What is brave about living authentically? Like a Venn diagram, we are all connected, mirrors for each other, surprised to see parts of ourselves in the broken eyes of others. Ready to die daily, being born again for the very first time, moving out of my comfort zone, opening up another world, inspiring others like a flat rock on the calm, clear surface, creating a really big ripple that touches foreign shores. Thank you.
All right, next up, Doc.
You know, Barbara, you're mentioning ghosts in your poem. Reminds me of an episode in my life. I was at a meeting in an old mansion to the south of here, and it was rumored to be haunted, and I can verify that indeed it is. I was kissed by a ghost.
I had an experience at the Writer's Inn in Painesville. We were staying the night, and I woke up, and there was a woman standing by the bed dressed in 19th century clothes, and her face was kind of distorted. And I thought it was my wife. She was reaching into the nightstand. And I turned, and my wife was lying in bed next to me. I turned back, and the ghost was gone.
Yeah, in fact, I've written a love story involving a ghost.
Ooh, I'd love to read that.
It's shall we say, rather raw. Whispering songs of love. Moon rises from cascading embers of dusk into caverned, silent mouth of night, pulled by veiled stars of forever into unknown memories of the future, and all the fey colors of space and time reflecting in infinity's pellucid mirror, somewhere in rhythms of eternity, midst eldritch shadows of illusion and whispering songs of love. Thank you. Touch of dawn. Land wakes with smiles to silken touch of dawn and smoldering kiss of sun on dimpled hills, as boughs spread, embrace, enfolding day, as it ignites forests' verdant darkness and shimmering rivers pulsing flow, midst ecstatic song of winds' soft honeyed lips, crying, joy. Thank you. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot the last line. Crying joy into endless, arching bliss of sky. And my last poem of the night, at least here, this was written for this era we're passing through at the moment. Night has passed by all our past. Yesterday's memories vast. Now it has all passed away. Could have beens are held at bay. Ring the bells that still can ring. There's a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in. We sing out our joys today, present in a pleasant way. Be again what we can be, helping all, the all to see. Ring the bells that still can ring. There's a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in. Tomorrow's dreams then begin. We our words and craft will spin. Sing out bright with cheerful song. Bring together and move on. Ring the bells that still can ring. There's a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in. Ring the bells that still can ring. Now, the three lines beginning ring the bells that still can ring are a direct quote from Leonard Cohen's song Anthem, which I think is very apt today.
All right. Excellent work.
Yes, awesome. Skylark, did you have things you wanted to read tonight?
Yeah, I have a piece that I think Doc's already heard because of a different video chat we were on a few days ago, but I can definitely read it again because it still applies.
All right, cool.
All right. It's called Safe at Home. You complain of being stuck at home, nowhere to go, bound by decree to stay put. You say you are on house arrest, bored beyond reason, with only the following things to do: read books, watch movies and TV, play games, do crafts, make art, write poems, cook and bake and clean and Marie Kondo all your stuff. Probably you could do yard work and garden too, while you are safe at home. You are called upon to stay put, stay safe, and chill out. Some of us are called to venture out and work in the risky world where we cannot see the foe. Some of us remain committed to essential volunteer efforts to feed and encourage. So you stay home, stay safe, and write, bake, create for those of us who wish we had the time while the world grinds to a halt.
Awesome.
You say you mentioned the word committed in your poem, and I tell people that when it comes to poetry, I'm committed, and some of them say, "Yeah, you should be."
So, Jen, did you have anything you wanted to read tonight?
No, I'm not that cool. I just came to listen.
All right.
Skylark, do you mind that you were recorded?
That's fine.
Okay, just got to get everyone's permission before I post it.
Yep. So
I'm
it'll
gonna
be
have
posted
to
on Facebook so folks can listen in later?
Yes, it's just it might be tomorrow.
I'm gonna have to leave y'all because my son has called and my grandson wants to talk with his grandpa.
Oh.
So see you when? In 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Hasta la vista.
Nos
Bye, Tom.
vemos.
Yeah, you can see all the other people that were here earlier too when you watch the video as well.
Oh,
Gotcha, yes.
So
Are
at the
they-
moment, it's just Ryan, me, Barbara, you, and Jen's here listening. I had it set up for me to go next, but if anyone else wants to jump in and do anything else, feel free.
Oh, it looks like Cy left too. I don't remember him saying he was leaving.
Yeah.
That's okay. Josh, go ahead, I guess.
Quick side note: does anyone know what Cy's pronouns are? Because I'm always like kind of careful
He,
about
him,
it.
or they, them, at least last I heard.
Okay. Cool. I was just like, I wanted to ask, but I didn't have the opportunity. I was gonna ask at some point, but alrighty. I'm gonna do this. This probably might be my last piece for the night. And I wrote it a couple Aprils ago during NaPoWriMo, called "April is for Fools and Poets." April is a month for thunderstorms and polite applause at open mics for fools and poets alike. And if you attend a reading such as this, and squint your eyes hard enough and open your ears wide enough, you might be able to convince yourself that you can tell the difference. This time of year, all over the country, in coffee houses, bars, art galleries, living rooms, sometimes hallways, or even sidewalks, the questions we ask ourselves most often are, do we clap or snap our fingers? Or sit in contemplative silence, awaiting for the opportunity to pounce on the spotlight like a house cat? Read your poem. Read the room. Read your poem. But also listen, my friend, to the poets and to the fools, for they came to say something just like you, and just like you, they don't know who is who. April is a month for thunderstorms and polite applause at open mics for fools and poets alike. And for those seeking it, the truth is this: all poets are fools with origami hearts that have taken up fire eating as a hobby. Alrighty. So that's gonna be the last thing I do tonight. But if anyone else wants to jump in and do one more thing, they have a couple poems in the bank or anything. If not, we're about ready to wrap up. Sorry, Jen, you got in like 30 minutes, roughly 30 minutes before we were actually supposed to close, but everything kind of wrapped up a little early.
Hey, Josh, per Psy, Skylark was correct. The pronouns are they, them, or he, him.
Okay, cool. Dope. I just wanted to make sure I don't want to misgender anybody.
Yep.
Thank you for doing this.
No problem. This is fun. It's giving us something to do, and I've missed the connection of being in physical space, sharing poems with people. So this is a good way to do it while being safe at
home.
Yep, safe at
in
home.
all of our homes.
You know what's funny about this? How the world kind of loops on itself sometimes. Beautiful Blasphemy started because we were a student group that kind of got censored out of existence. So at the time I owned a house and I said, to hell with it. We'll have our own readings in my living room. And here we are having readings in all of our living rooms now.
Nice.
I think we're all missing that contact that we used to
Yeah.
have in the in-person poetry readings and the things we used to go to and the the art galleries, and I know we're missing all of it. But everyone is doing the best they can.
Yeah.
As I said, oh, sorry. As I said earlier, if you want to take the time to write, I constantly have all of my own self-serving projects with 1 million prompts. You guys are welcome to steal and write away. And many of them will wind up in books. We currently produce 38 different books, all of which are available for free, both digitally and in print. But the print ones, kind of have to hand them to you in person, so that's not happening right now. But they are available digitally, and then we have special versions of them available on Amazon. There is no way to print from Amazon for free, but they don't get us any royalties. It's what their minimum price is for each one. They're like slightly larger collected volumes of the works, and there is at least one exclusive there.
I will check into that. I enjoyed contributing to your, what was it, Lord's Temple basement.
Oh, yeah.
That was way, way, way outside of my usual comfort.
Oh, we got a lot of writers for Power the Powerless. That one got on Amazon, too.
I enjoyed that immensely. It was a challenge.
I'm working on putting Anonymous America up there, and I want to contact Sean to get maybe a couple of bonus things because it needs a few more pages for the Amazon minimum. A couple of the works he read today suit the theme. Josh's All-American is in it, and a whole variety of general, anarchist, not necessarily anti-American, but commenting on the political situation of America. Many of them were pre-Trump. There are a few that are post-Trump.
Post-Trump. That defines an era.
It definitely changed our political landscape. All right. Did anyone have any more they wanted to read before we head out?
No, I think I'm done for tonight.
Okay.
Alrighty. Thank you guys for coming. This has been great. It's been awesome to have something to keep my mind off of the shit show that is my life. So thank you guys so much.
And it was nice to you that I haven't met before, even if it's meeting this way.
Don't forget to check the Beautiful Blasphemy Facebook page. We will be putting up a link as soon as we get the video up.
Okay.
And we also do have a Patreon. Don't feel guilted into putting money into it. It's just so that maybe we could recoup the cost of doing Zoom Pro, which is like $16 a month.
Thank
All right.
you, Josh, for hosting, and I look forward to seeing all of the whole thing.
Yes. Yep, Ryan is currently recording it right now, so it should be up probably later tonight, Ryan?
Tomorrow, I've got
Tomorrow.
adult responsibilities.
Yeah, he's gotta go.
Yes, go be a parent and all of that, right?
No parenting tonight. My son should have
Okay.
been in bed long ago. He's with his mother. I have to
Okay.
keep my distance. He lives with his grandparents,
Okay.
and they are high risk people.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I see.
Oh, yes,
He
they
hasn't
are.
seen my parents either. My parents are even higher risk. My father has autoimmune disorder, so really high risk.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's so scary. Everyone's like so far away from their loved ones now. It's
Yeah. But we're starting to hear some, the good news is that the rates of infection are being slowed down. So that is definitely like, yay, we're doing it. Like we still have a long way to go, but we're doing a good thing.
yeah. And Ohio